This is Land of Havilah, Proverbs 22, verse 1. A good name is more desirable than great riches, and loving favor is better than silver and gold. Comment, this proverb is very clear. A good reputation is more desirable than great riches. A corollary to this is that slander and false witness are very serious because they tarnish a very valuable reputation. In the second half of the proverb, loving favor is better than silver and gold. To have loving favor from a person is, of course, to be loved and favored by them. Loving favor is better than silver and gold. Verse 2. The rich and the poor have this in common: Yahweh is the maker of them all. Comment, God made the rich and poor. Verse 3. A prudent man sees danger and hides himself, but the simple pass on and suffer for it. Comment, a man with good judgment recognizes danger. He sees it coming and avoids it, whereas the simple walk right into it. There's a famous line from an 18th century poem that makes the same point: fools rush in where wise men fear to trod. A prudent man sees danger and hides himself, but the simple pass on and suffer for it. Verse 4. The result of humility and the fear of Yahweh is wealth, honor, and life. Comment, the key ingredients in this proverb are humility and fear of the Lord. They lead to wealth, honor, and life. Verse 5. Thorns and snares are in the path of the wicked. Whoever guards his soul stays from them. Comment, the path of the wicked is filled with hazards and difficulties that don't afflict the righteous. Verse 6. Train up a child in the way he should go, and when he's old he will not depart from it. Comment, the childhood years are the formative years. We stick to what we learn as children, especially what our parents taught us when we were very young. Verse 7. The rich rule over the poor. The borrower is servant to the lender. Comment, a borrower enters into debt service. He has to make his payments, in other words. The borrower is the lender's servant. In the law of Moses, to be in debt was a curse, Deuteronomy 28:44. To be a lender was better, Deuteronomy 28:12. It'll always be that way because the borrower serves the lender. Verse 8. He who sows wickedness reaps trouble, and the rod of his fury will be destroyed. Comment, the first part is understandable, that wickedness invites trouble. The second part takes some unraveling, that the rod of his fury will be destroyed, is something to the effect that God will extinguish the wicked and extinguish the wicked man's anger. And at the same time, the rod of his fury will be destroyed. So the entire proverb would say the wicked person reaps trouble for himself. He and his wickedness will be destroyed. So first he has trouble, then he's destroyed. The wicked has a bleak future. Verse 9. He who has a generous eye will be blessed, for he shares his food with the poor. Comment, the person who's generous to the poor will be blessed. Verse 10. Drive out the mocker, and strife will go out. Yes, quarrels and insults will stop. Comment, some people are toxic. Drive them out, and there'll be peace. Verse 11. He who loves purity of heart and speaks gracefully is the king's friend. Comment, the king we're concerned about is God. In this proverb, we're the king's friend if we love purity of heart and speak gracefully. Jesus said, "You're my friends if you do what I command," John 15:14. Of course, he commands us to love purity and speak gracefully. Ephesians 4:29, quote, "Let no corrupt speech proceed out of your mouth, but only what's good for building others up, as the need may be, that it may give grace to those who hear." Verse 12. Yahweh's eyes watch over knowledge, but he frustrates the words of the unfaithful. Comment, in the first part, God's eyes watch over knowledge. If we speak from knowledge, he backs us up. But in the second part, he frustrates the words of the unfaithful, meaning he doesn't back us up if our words are unfaithful. Verse 13. The sluggard says, "There's a lion outside. I'll be killed in the streets." Comment, the lazy person will make up some nonsensical reasons to excuse himself from work. Your narrator saw a bumper sticker on a rusted-out pickup truck that said, "Hard work never killed anybody, but I ain't taking no chances." Verse 14. The mouth of an adulteress is a deep pit. He who's under Yahweh's wrath will fall into it. Comment, an adulterer will pay a steep price. He'll experience God's anger. Verse 15. Folly is bound up in the heart of a child. The rod of discipline drives it far from him. Comment, children harbor foolishness. They don't let go of it easily. Sometimes the rod is the answer. Verse 16. Whoever oppresses the poor for his own increase and whoever gives to the rich both come to poverty. Comment, holding back money from the poor makes about as much sense as giving it away to the rich. Either way, it's a misuse of funds, and the misuser will come to poverty. That was the end of a long section that ran from chapter 10 to here, which is the middle of chapter 22. The section starting now will run to the middle of chapter 24. It has its own introduction, which is verse 17. Turn your ear and listen to the words of the wise. Apply your heart to my teaching, for it's a pleasant thing if you keep them within you, if all of them are ready on your lips. I teach you today, even you, so that your trust may be in Yahweh. Haven't I written to you 30 excellent things of counsel and knowledge, to teach you truth, reliable words, to give sound answers to the ones who sent you? Comment, in verses 17 to 21 we just read, Solomon says, listen to my wise teaching. In verse 18, it'll be pleasant for you to learn this information well enough that it's on the tip of your tongue if you have these proverbs, quote, ready on your lips, end quote. In verse 19, quote, I teach you today, even you, end quote. He says, I'm talking to you, yes, you. In verse 20, he says he's about to touch on 30 subjects, quote, haven't I written to you 30 excellent things, end quote. Your narrator counts 35 in the section ahead, but we could make it 30 just depending on how we divide it up. In verse 20 we just read, these will be 30 excellent pieces of advice, quote, excellent things of counsel and knowledge, end quote. Here's the first one, verse 22. Don't exploit the poor because he's poor, and don't crush the needy in court, for Yahweh will plead their case and plunder the life of those who plunder them. Comment, plunder the poor and Yahweh will kill you. He'll plunder your life. This is explicit in the law of Moses that God said if you take advantage of a foreigner or widow or fatherless child, quote, my wrath will grow hot and I will kill you with the sword. Exodus 22:24. For other crimes, Yahweh commanded the people of Israel to punish or kill the offender themselves, but for taking advantage of the vulnerable, Yahweh said he would carry out the penalty himself. Coming up, do not make friends with a hot-tempered man, verse 24. Don't befriend a hot-tempered man, and don't associate with one who harbors anger, lest you learn his ways and ensnare your soul. Comment, if we make friends with a hot-tempered man, he'll expect us to be angry with all the same things that anger him. Coming up, don't cosign a debt, verse 26. Don't you be one of those who strike hands of those who are collateral for debts. If you don't have means to pay, why should he take away your bed from under you? Comment, our saying when we're financially ruined is that we lost our shirt. Solomon's way of saying is that the cosigner will lose his bed. Coming up, don't move a boundary marker, verse 28. Don't move the ancient boundary stone which your fathers have set up. Comment, the ancient boundary stone is a property marker that's been there for generations. It would be completely dishonest to move a property marker. This proverb might also apply to what's been traditionally considered right and wrong, that suddenly there are people who want to redefine right and wrong, similar to moving an ancient boundary marker. Now regarding skilled workmanship, verse 29, do you see a man skilled in his work? He'll serve kings. He won't serve obscure men. Comment, an example of this would be Saul recruiting David to be his personal harpist because he played so well, 1 Samuel 16. Proverbs 23 is next.